Welcome to Mythic Albion, a journey through Britain's folklore, legends and sacred landscapes. I'm your host Tom, and today we look at something that involves us all. There are stories we tell for entertainment, and then there are the quiet rules we follow without really knowing why. Across Britain, for centuries, people have lived alongside an invisible set of warnings. Don't walk under that ladder. Don't bring those shoes inside. And don't ignore that bird at the window. These aren't legends of kings or monsters. They're the small everyday superstitions, the protective habits, whispered omens and inherited fears that shapes ordinary life. And as luck would have it, today we step into that older mindset, the Britain where luck could cling to a loaf of bread, where death might be heard in the cry of a bird, and where crossing the wrong threshold at the wrong time could change everything. We will explore the strange patterns behind British superstition through thresholds and food, the sea, death omens, animals and fairy boundaries, and see what they reveal about how people once understood their world. Because superstition isn't about fear or minimising bad luck or good, it's about control, often in a world that had none. Thresholds. When we think of thresholds, we think of doorways, gates, bridges and so forth. Simple architecture, convenience in an ever-changing, modernising world. But not quite. These are the in-between places, and in folklore, in-between is where things can go tragically wrong. In Scotland and parts of northern England, it is said that the first person to enter your home after midnight on New Year's Day could determine your luck, but not just for the day, the entire year. This particular ritual is known as first footing, and it requires a dark-haired visitor bringing gifts like coal, bread or whiskey. And what more does a northerner need than those simple things? However, as mentioned, dark-haired strangers are welcome here. A fair-haired stranger? A redhead? These types are considered deeply unlucky, a lingering cultural memory of Viking raids. Numbers too can act as thresholds, and what better number to discuss across Britain than 13? Long considered a deeply unlucky number that holds strong stigma even today, where hotels and tower blocks will skip the 13th floor altogether. Planes will omit a 13th row. The Mayan calendars were superstitiously feared as a harbinger of the apocalyptic 2012 phenomena. A baker's dozen is 13 loaves. In a tarot deck, X111 is the card of death, and Friday the 13th has long been considered an unlucky day. There are several origin theories to this, and it ties in a lot with how much the number 12 features heavily in our culture, as it is seen as a number of completeness. We have 12 months of the year, 12 hours on a clock, 12 apostles, 12 gods in a pantheon. But the Last Supper of Christ featured 13 people around the table. Christ and his 12 apostles, considered unlucky because Judas Iscariot would ultimately go on to betray Jesus Christ. There is a similar story, that of the tale of Loki, the trickster god of Norse mythology. This uninvited guest gatecrashes a dinner party in Valhalla as the 13th god. His presence led to chaos and the death of the god Baldur, symbolising the disruption of harmony and the introduction of evil. On Friday the 13th, October 1307, King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of the Knights Templar, leading to most of the knights being tortured and killed. In older cultures, the number 13 represented femininity because it corresponded to the number of lunar menstrual cycles in a year. 13 multiplied by 28 equals 364, a day out from a normal year. Thus, a solar calendar triumphing over a lunar calendar, and for this reason, 13 was seen as anathema. So we can see how clean and tidy 12 is, and 13 is disruptive, chaotic and indivisible. Next we move to ladders. Surely nothing to note here, but the act of walking under a ladder was considered extremely bad luck. And if you think about it, from a purely safety point of view, there is great merit to this. Would you walk under a ladder knowingly if someone was working, especially if they were carrying tools? But this fear of ladders does go surprisingly far back. There is a historical association with this as well. A ladder is said to represent a triangle, and in ancient Egyptian times a triangle was a sacred symbol, and to walk through one was to anger the gods. The triangle also symbolises the Holy Trinity, and to walk through it again was to insult the Trinity, and you would be open to inviting the devil into your life. So we can see the power and symbolism of the triangle at work here. A triangle has 3 sides and fits neatly into 12 if multiplied by 4. Not so with 13. Ladders were also associated with the gallows during medieval times, thus a strong association with death and misfortune. So far it seems there are many things that can go wrong if we quite literally put the wrong foot forward. But today people knock on wood almost instinctively as a means of warding off bad luck or to prevent jinxing a positive or hopeful statement. In the southern part of England we may invoke this particular bit of superstition like so. I haven't been sick all year, touch wood. This invariably is accompanied by someone seeking something wooden to apply these knocks, or in typical self-deprecating English fashion, one may tap on their head. This act was believed to protect the speaker from tempting fate or inviting misfortune. This also has ties to old pagan beliefs as well as Christian symbolism. For the former, many a scholar believed that for Germanic pagans and Celts, that there was a time that trees housed various spirits, and if you were to touch said tree or knock on it, you would summon the spirit within and be blessed with luck, protection and good fortune. In Christianity, wood, or in particular the wood of the cross associated with Jesus Christ, was seen as a gesture of faith and divine protection. It should also be noted that Jesus was a carpenter and thus was always associated with making things out of wood. The expression of touching wood or knocking on wood is so ingrained even today that Winston Churchill himself once said that he always liked to be within an arm's length of a piece of wood. Food wasn't just for sustenance, and as you can guess, food was and is seen as symbolic, powerful, and dangerously easy to tempt fate with. In Cornish fishing communities, never turn a loaf of bread upside down. It was felt that this resembled a capsized boat and thus was a silent predictor of disaster at sea. In addition, once again we can look at Christian traditional reasons where bread is viewed as the body of Christ, and to turn bread upside down is viewed as disrespectful, akin to offering the body in a dishonourable way. This in turn is also seen why a cross hung upside down is viewed as unlucky or evil, and why 3 AM is considered the devil's hour, 12 hours after the supposed death of Christ, which was said to be at 3 PM in the afternoon. Spilling salt is also an omen of bad luck across Britain. And the remedy? To toss a pinch of salt over one's left shoulder, because that is where the devil is said to lurk. An act of bad luck immediately cured with a superstitious act that invites good luck. It was also said that Judas spilled salt at the Last Supper, the act being symbolic of betrayal and misfortune. During the Middle Ages, people believed in the presence of supernatural forces, spirits and demons. Salt was seen as protective and sprinkled around the home, thresholds and livestock to prevent against witchcraft. Some thought that the act of making a ring of salt around your person would create a protective shield. There is also the practicality of salt. It isn't just a staple part of seasoning in food, it was essential for food preservation, trade and even currency. The sea. Nowhere bred superstition like the sea, and seafarers were no stranger to this. Much of maritime folklore spoke of anxieties about the temperamental ocean and storms, which ultimately boiled down to a fear of disaster and drowning. One popular sailor's charm was a caul. A caul is the membrane that protects a baby in the womb. Owning such a charm would protect a seafarer from drowning, and such items were sold in 19th century, popular in Liverpool. Sailors and fishing families believed the ocean was alive with listening spirits. A rich system of omens and predictions was developed. Diligently attentive to their behaviour, uttering words such as pig or rabbit was deeply frowned upon and was tantamount to provoking the ocean and to attract bad luck. On the Isle of Man, sailors avoided the word rat, but because these animals were commonplace in the 19th century, they were instead referred to as longtails. In Cornish lore, mermaids were not romantic. They were warnings of coming storms, of drownings, and ships dashed on rocks. At sea, survival depended on forces you couldn't see or control. Superstition became a form of negotiation with the unknown and fate. Omens of death in folklore rarely arrived unannounced. In British folklore, birds are often seen as harbingers of fate and fortune, with ravens, magpies, crows and owls being of particular note. The presence, behaviour or even the call of these birds can be interpreted as omens, warnings or promises. Ravens occupy a strong role in British mythology, seen as messengers between the mortal realm and the supernatural, such as the Ravens of Woden. There is also a continued presence of ravens at the Tower of London, said to protect not just the monarchy but the land itself. If the ravens were ever to leave, it would spell the end of the United Kingdom. Birds flying into windows can often be seen as a carrier of a soul, delivering a message from the other side. In Wales, ghostly lights called corpse candles are significant parts of Welsh folklore, believed to be small lights floating along the ground indicating that death was imminent. Often seen near the homes of those destined to die or along the path of a funeral procession. Different colours would signify different meanings. For example, a red flame indicated a man's death and a white flame would signify a woman's. The history of this goes back to a recording by Gerald of Wales in the 12th century. If corpse lights indicate that death is close at hand, then a mirror left uncovered after a funeral was said to trap the soul. A clock stopping at the moment of passing was seen as a sign that the house itself was mourning. These beliefs gave death a shape, a warning and a sense that loss, though inevitable, was not random. The natural world, in particular animals, have always been sensitive to the unseen. As before, birds in particular are powerful portents of superstition and magpies are some of the most widely known. This particular superstition exists within a rhyme, where the number determines whether one will experience good or bad luck. The magpie rhyme dates back to the 1700s, and the rhyme goes as so. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told, 8 for a wish, 9 for a kiss, 10 for a bird that you must not miss, 11 for health, 12 for wealth, 13 beware, it's the devil himself, 14 make your choice, 15 take your pick, 16 the sweetest, 17 your heart's wish, 18 for a letter, 19 for better, 20 the future, it's now or never. There is meaning and interpretation in the numbers. Seeing 1 magpie is considered bad luck, whereas 2 is believed to bring good luck. 3 and 4 denote that good news about babies is imminent. 5 and 6 are said to fortune in the form of silver and gold. 7 is considered bad luck. It signifies a particularly terrible secret will be revealed. 8 means making a wish, akin to another similar superstition of seeing a shooting star, will come true. 9 brings true love. Seeing 10 magpies is important, an opportunity will arise that cannot be missed. 11 and 12 means you will soon be in receipt of good health or wealth, respectively. 13 magpies, and a terrible number indeed, is said to bring immense bad luck and the presence of the devil. And so on we go. Next we take a look at cats. Whereas many a culture may regard black cats with suspicion and terror, in the UK black cats were seen as symbols of good luck, especially in Yorkshire and Scotland. Believed to bring good fortune, sailors' wives would keep black cats at home to ensure the safe return of their husbands. In Scotland, the appearance of black cats on your doorstep was said to bring prosperity and fortune. Cats are interesting in that a lot of superstitions originate from our much-loved felines. A grooming cat means unexpected visitors are coming. A sneeze from a cat means good luck is on the way. Feeding a cat from your shoe will improve your love life. A kitten born in May will be mischievous, and when entering a new home, it is considered lucky for your cat to enter first. While dogs take credit for legendary acts, cats have had their place as well. In 1949, during the Chinese Civil War, the HMS Amethyst brought a cat on board for good luck and morale. Named Simon, he was also tasked with dealing with the rat problem often found in ships back in those days. Simon would eventually be awarded the Dickin Medal, which is the highest award given for animal bravery. A hooting owl in the night or a murder of crows gathered on a rooftop is seen as a symbol of loss. Large phantom black dogs have a dark history in the UK, often being harbingers of death such as Black Shuck or the Barghest. Some animals bordered on the ethereal such as the Coochie, the fairy hound. You see, animals move between worlds, wild and domestic, night and day, life and death. People believe they notice things we couldn't, and they still do. Do you never wonder why your favourite pet looks ominously at a corner, at something that is apparently not there? Magic. That sometimes unseen force, and British folklore has always been rich with magical elements including spells, charms and other resources for healing and protection. Sometimes magic was used for darker purposes, to hex, to curse and to sometimes kill. Very boundaries showed that not all danger was human or natural or even dead. In the Celtic parts of Britain, a lone hawthorn tree in a field might mark a fairy dwelling. Fairies being part of the Fae, a category encompassing other supernatural beings including elves and other magical creatures. While both Fae and Fairy can be seen as interchangeable, Fae has its own origins in Celtic mythology. Fairies are embedded in European folklore. To disturb this tree, this wondrous home was said to bring illness, madness or even ruin. This belief persists into modern times, with some people avoiding the felling of these trees, or in recent decades, roads being diverted to avoid such trees. Fairy rings are naturally occurring circles of arcs of mushrooms that can be found in forested areas, grasslands or even in gardens. Forming where the mycelium of a fungus spreads underground in a circular pattern, this effect producing mushrooms at the edge of the circle. But are they more than just an ecological wonder? A fairy ring was associated with the Sidhe, a supernatural race in Irish and Scottish mythology, believed to inhabit an otherworldly realm. These beings were often described as being fairies or elves residing in a parallel world to our own. But there were two courts of Sidhe. The Sidhe courts were generally benevolent, helping humans that respected their ways and the natural world. And then there were the Unsidhe court, known for their mischievous and sometimes malevolent nature, alternating from pranks to harming those that enter their realm. To encounter a fairy ring was to discover a portal to this magical realm. Stepping inside one could lead to being taken by the Sidhe, and where a few hours may pass over there, years could pass in the mortal realm. To disturb one of these rings or to pick up one of the mushrooms was to invite terrible bad luck. However, not all signs in nature warned of doom. Some offered protection. Finding a four-leaf clover was one of the most widespread signs of good fortune across Britain. Rarity mattered. After all, you're not meant to look for luck, only stumble across it. Each leaf was said to stand for something different. Faith, hope, love and luck. Carrying one could ward off against misfortune, protect against illness or even let you see those mythical fairy folk. You could see them without being tricked by them. A rare advantage in a landscape where the unseen was usually more powerful than you. Today we may laugh at these superstitions, yet continue to perform rituals without even realising it. We still knock on wood. We still cross our fingers. We still avoid walking under ladders. We feel a flicker of unease when a bird hits a window or a sudden silence within nature. Superstitions gave people a sense of agency in a dangerous and unpredictable world. They often provided explanations for the unexplainable and offer comfort in uncertain times, adapting to fit contemporary narratives. Manifesting in various forms such as charms, rituals, wards and taboos, they are deeply rooted in cultural practices and folklore. Lots of superstitions overlap with each other, and a lot of them have their origins in our pagan and Christian pasts. They also connected people deeply with their environment. Bread mattered, birds mattered, trees mattered, the world was alive and with meaning. Maybe that is why these beliefs never fully disappear. Modern society may have moved away from traditional superstition, but their influence remains, often blending with contemporary beliefs and practices. Because even in a postmodern age replete with skepticism, subjectivism and relativism, part of us still wonders, what if? Thank you for listening to Mythic Albion. If you liked today's episode, leave a like and review. It helps others find their way back to good fortune. Superstitions asks us to pay attention to our surroundings, to patterns, to omens, to the feeling that the world is larger and stranger than it first appears. And nowhere in Britain does that feeling linger more strongly than in its waters. Because lakes, like thresholds, are places without clear edges. We can see the surface, but not the depths. And for centuries, people around them have sworn that something moves below, unseen and untamed, watching. In the next episode of Mythic Albion, we travel to the north, to Loch Ness, a place where ancient belief, modern sightings, and deep dark water collide. Is the Loch Ness Monster just another superstition, a misread sign, or is it something older? A reminder that Britain has never quite stopped believing that its landscapes are alive. Until then, mind the thresholds, watch the birds, and beware of that creature crossing the path in front of you.